Good morning, boys and girls. Happy Monday. So we would be learning about habitats if we were in room 5. And we would be making, and we are still going to, it's just going to be a little bit different, a habitat chart with 4 of my favorite habitats. And the one that we always begin with is the desert. And I have sent your families the desert file that we would normally use if we were in the classroom. And you're more than welcome to print that out and use it. It's on your Google Classroom if you wish. But one of my favorite things about teaching about habitats is all the different stories that I get to read to you. So I'm going to start today with one of my favorite stories about the desert. And it's about the saguaro cactus, which is actually one of the most important plants to the desert. And we've talked a lot this year about Mother Nature and how Mother Nature gives all these plants and animals different superpowers to survive in the habitats that they need to live in. And the saguaro cactus is one of the most gorgeous plants. They are these humongous cactuses, and they do a lot to keep the desert functioning. So today I'm going to be reading you this story, and then later on I will actually be in another video teaching you how to draw your very own saguaro cactus. And we'll be comparing it to some other plants in some other habitats. So this story is called The Cactus Hotel. And I want you to pay very close attention to the sky, because you know that Mrs. McGee doesn't always love just a plain blue sky. And the desert is great for sunsets and sunrises. So you're going to see a lot of fun colors in here. Okay? So Cactus Hotel. This is my first time reading on a video too, so this is going to take some practice. We'll get better at this. On a hot, dry day in the desert, a bright red fruit falls from a tall saguaro cactus. Plop. It splits apart on the sandy floor. 2,000 black seeds glisten in the sunlight. When the air cools in the evening, an old pack rat comes out and eats the juicy fruit. Then he skitters across the sand. A seed left clinging to his whiskers falls off under a palo verde tree. It is a good place for the seed to drop. A spotted ground squirrel looking for something to eat does not see it. A house finch chirping high in the palo verde does not see it. This is a house finch. It's a bird up here. And there's the ground squirrel. And this is a palo verde tree. After many dry days, a heavy rain falls on the desert. Soon, a young cactus sprouts up from the ground. So it definitely does rain in the desert. It just doesn't rain as frequently as it does in other habitats. Slowly, slowly the seedling grows. The palo verde protects it from the hot summer sun and cold winter nights. After 10 years, the cactus is only 4 inches high. It is just big enough for desert ants to climb in its spiny sides. Can you see it, little baby? So after 10 years, it's only 4 inches high. So I actually brought a ruler, because 4 inches is only from the very bottom of this ruler to right here where it says 4. So that is 4 inches. Can you imagine being 10 years old and being 4 inches tall? People would step on you, pretty sure. After a rainstorm, when the desert blooms with color, the cactus pulls in water with its long roots and looks fat. A young pack rat stops to drink the water that drips off the tree. Then she scurries off, looking for a dry place to make a nest. So in this picture, you'll see the roots of the cactus. And you see how they spread out under the soil as far as they can because they're trying to soak in as much water as they can because they don't know when the next rainstorm is going to be. So they slurp up as much water as they can, and the cactus gets really fat. It's not going to stay really fat. It's just got all that extra water so that the cactus can survive until the next rainstorm. So Mother Nature has really done a good job at building in that superpower for it. When there's no rain, the cactus uses up the water it has stored inside, and it looks thin. So as it uses up the water, it shrinks, and it starts to look thin, which means like skinnier. The Palo Verde loses its tiny leaves, but there's always some shade for the cactus below. After 25 years, the cactus is 2 feet tall. A jackrabbit cools off beside it and gnaws on the green pulp. But when a coyote moves in the distance, the jackrabbit disappears into a nearby hole. So after 25 years, the cactus is 2 feet tall. That does not mean 2 of your feet. It means 2 of these rulers. So this is an actual foot that we measure with. That's what we call it. So after 25 years, it's only as big as 2 of these. That's not very tall at all for being 25 years old. So it's at the start, these cacti grow very slowly. After 50 years, the cactus stands 10 feet tall. So it finally had a growth spurt after 50 years and looks straight and strong beside the old Palo Verde. For the very first time, brilliant white and yellow flowers appear at the top of the cactus. Every spring from now on, the flowers will open for 1 night only and then close in the heat of the day. They beckon like a welcoming signal across the desert. At different times of the day and night, birds, bees, and bats come for the nectar. So they only open for 1 night. And somehow all those desert animals know that it's that 1 night, and they all come to get the nectar. The flowers dry up, and after a month, the bright red fruit filled with black seeds is ripe and ready. A Gila woodpecker comes to eat. He looks around the cactus and decides to stay. He has found the perfect place in the desert to begin a new hotel. The woodpecker goes right to work, and the only tool he uses is his long, hard beak. Tap, tap, tap. He bores into the flesh of the cactus. Tap, tap, tap. He digs deep inside to make a space that is comfortable and roomy. The cactus is not harmed. It forms a tough scab all around the hole to protect itself from drying out. The woodpecker gets a weatherproof nest that's shady on hot days and warm and insulated on frosty nights. And the cactus gets something in return. The woodpecker likes to eat the insects that can bring disease to the cactus. So just like when you fall on the ground and scrape your knee, or you get a cut of any kind, your body creates a scab to protect it while it heals. The cactus does the same thing. After the woodpecker goes inside, the skin of the cactus makes a scab, just like our bodies do. And then the animal and the plant work together. They're sort of like those nature buddies that we learned about earlier in the year in our reading book. And the cactus loves having the woodpecker there because it protects it from diseases by eating the insects. And the woodpecker has a very safe home. After 60 years, the Cactus Hotel is 18 feet tall. 18 of these finally. To add more space, it begins to grow an arm. A woodpecker has a new hole in the trunk. Farther up, a white-winged dove makes a nest on the arm. And down below, an old hole is discovered by an elf owl. The birds feel safe living high up in a prickly plant where nothing can reach them. So I want you to remember that this is called an arm, just like we have. And the cacti can grow lots of different sizes of arms, and they can be going all different directions. So when we draw ours, we get to add arms to it. All around the desert, there are holes of every size for ants and mice, lizards and snakes, rabbits and foxes. After 150 years, there are holes of every size in the cactus too. The giant plant has finally stopped growing. It is 50 feet tall with 7 long branches, and it weighs 8 tons, about as much as 5 automobiles, which are cars. So get a look at that. That's after 150 years. Everybody wants to live in the Cactus Hotel. Birds lay eggs and pack rats raise their young. Even insects and bats live there. When one animal moves out, another moves in. And every spring they come for a special treat of nectar and juicy red fruit. Finally, after 200 years, the old cactus sways in a gust of wind and falls with a thud to the sandy floor. Its great thorny arms crumble in the crash. So after 200 years, Mother Nature takes these cacti down. The creatures that lived up high must find other homes, but those that prefer to live down low move right in. A millipede, a scorpion, and many ants and termites quickly find homes in the toppled hotel. After many months, all that remains are the wooden ribs that supported the cactus while it stood so tall. A collared lizard dashes over the top looking for insects. A ground snake huddles in the shade below. So they call these parts the ribs, kind of like the ribs that are in your body. And all around there's a forest of cacti slowly growing in the desert. Through hot and cold, wet and dry, some will survive long enough to become other cactus hotels. Look at that. And that is the end. And look at that beautiful sunset on the back. That's the look we're going to try to go for when we do it. So I hope you enjoyed Cactus Hotel and learning about the saguaro cactus. Stay tuned because there will be another video where we will draw the cactus, our own Cactus Hotel. Love you guys. There's no place like home.